Hello and welcome back to Together We Pause with me, Faye.
And me, Helen. It's time to grab a cuppa. And we're going to be talking about something that I know nothing about today, which is exciting. But I wondered how your lovely boy's exams are going.
They are going okay.
Yeah.
So he's in GCSE territory. So by the time this goes out,
We'll be past that.
He'll be closer to getting his results probably.
Yeah, of course.
He's good. He's good, actually. We're lucky. I said to Phil the other day, I was like, if I had a child that I was really struggling to get to exams and struggling to like get them to revise, I think this would be a really tough phase of my life.
Yeah.
No, he's good. He's good at managing his workload. You know, he spends a lot of time on the tennis court.
Yeah.
So the other morning we were on the way. I drop him into his exams, and I said, "Are you nervous?" And he said, "No, it's all about composure." He was telling me it's all about composure, which is obviously what he's learned through his life playing tennis. But I just thought that was really sweet, because when I was 16, there's no way I was thinking about being composured and breathing through it, and you know, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So his outlook on it is very mature. I'm genuinely not worried for him. I think he treats it like a tennis match every time he goes into an exam.
And actually, how long has he been playing tennis?
Since he was 3, 4.
So actually, like, what an amazing, like, mentality to have, like that.
Yeah.
You work hard to get the results. You know, there has to be failure in there. You have to learn the skills.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, because when I think of my girls, I've got one daughter who does gymnastics and dance all the time, and she's just got she's very strict with her time. She does certain things, you know, like she just is very pragmatic. Whereas my other daughter, who is equally as wonderful, but not into gym and dance, actually she finds those things much harder to sit down and do, because actually she doesn't have the same kind of mindset, because she hasn't had.
It's interesting. I think sport as a child gives you the discipline for so many other areas of your life.
Definitely. Yeah.
I read this really interesting thing once, and it said, if your kid is good at tennis but failing at maths, most parents would get a maths tutor. But I'd actually get the tennis tutor or the tennis coach, because actually when you excel at something you love, I think it teaches you lessons for so many different areas of your life. And there are things that you're just not great at.
And you don't have to be good at everything.
No.
Do you?
Absolutely. And I think GCSEs can be a really tough time. So I appreciate the privilege that we have with a child who's not distraught, making themselves ill. That must be truly awful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't make you a bad parent. Like that's a really tough work through, I imagine. But no, we're surviving.
Awesome. And do you think your daughter will be the same? Because obviously she's played a lot of tennis, hasn't she?
I think she will. I think they're quite competitive, and I think she'll have some results of an older sibling to follow. So, which doesn't come from us, but I suspect she'll have that competitive edge. But we'll see.
Sending all the parents and all the kids who are navigating exams love.
Yeah.
And patience.
Absolutely. Should we talk about endometriosis?
I would really like to talk about this, because I pretty much know nothing.
Okay.
I've had a couple of little tidbits from you previously, because I know that, like, we've been on retreat before, haven't we? And I know you have this, and your period came suddenly and you weren't able to do an ice bath. So I know very limited information about this. You did make me do an ice bath.
I did make you do an ice bath.
And there was a butterfly.
That's right, yeah.
A little butterfly flying above me. It's because I'm really Snow White.
Yes, absolutely.
I am. So talk to me about endometriosis.
Do you know what it actually is?
I know it's something to do with the thickening of your womb. No.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Kind of. So basically, you're on the right line.
Okay, fill me in.
So basically, when there's like a tissue that grows outside of your womb, which is sort of like that inside of your womb.
Okay.
The bit that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But it grows outside and in places where you wouldn't want it to grow.
Okay.
So And by the way, I'm not a doctor. I'm simply somebody who's lived with this. And
is this a disclaimer that we
absolutely? Like, if I get something wrong here, don't come at me, please. So everyone's womb lining thickens, and then it comes out because you have a period.
Yes.
So endometriosis is where you have a growing of a tissue or whatever, but it's outside of your womb.
Got it.
And it can grow on the outside of your womb. So the most problematic bit that I ever had was between my bowel and my womb, and it was growing and my bowel was getting twisted. So it grows outside. So there's never that moment where it all flushes out with a period. Yeah. Okay. It's just there growing away merrily.
And so the growth then just builds up and up and up.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't stop growing, does it?
I guess in some people it does. For me, it just started growing one day, thanks very much, and just carried on growing.
You were quite young, weren't you, when this started?
Well, yeah, and I don't know. I wish they did checks. I wish there was a way of checking. I was 11 when I started my periods, and it was miserable for many years. And I sort of started to think something probably wasn't right when I left university. So I'd have been 21.
Yeah.
And a couple of doctors were like, it's just a period pain. Thanks. So if anyone's listening who's ever been told that their endometriosis is a period pain, I sympathise.
Yeah.
Because I had more than one situation in which I was told it's just period pains, take an ibuprofen.
Oh, God.
But when something isn't right, but it's very hard to explain.
Yeah.
Because of course you don't know. I didn't even know endometriosis was a thing. People talk about it now because it is a thing.
Of course.
And there's, an endometriosis charity, multiple charities, in fact. There are people talking about it. Back then, it wasn't quite like my GP didn't know an awful lot about it. She was brilliant and referred me.
But also, when you're going through a period, you just assume your period is how everyone else has a period.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know that the pain is different. You don't know that the flow is different, do you?
Yeah.
You just assume that everyone's is the same.
Yeah. And also, mine was never during my period. So it was I know it's not a period pain because I'm getting this ridiculous pain when I'm not having a period.
And so did it impact your bowel as well? That in terms of like your bowel movements, you don't have to tell me about all your poo.
No, that's fine.
Let's like
poo. Absolutely. Yeah. Real, like constipation. And I remember the first time I went for internal surgery, they were like, I don't know how you've been handling that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like your bowel is
backed
up. So yeah, it's deeply unpleasant, and I think that it comes in many shapes and sizes. So my experience will be different to the next person, but it is frustrating that a lot of people have to battle to even have a conversation about it. I think it's the same as perimenopause, and I get it because maybe 200 years ago, not everyone had endometriosis. I don't know why people get it. I don't know why more women have it now, or whether it is more, or whether we've just been suffering in silence for a long time, probably.
Yeah. Is it hereditary, or is it just...
I think it is hereditary, and my mum's had endometriosis, all number of gynecology issues.
And that's why she had the hysterectomy, I guess.
Yes, as did my grandma. So, yes, I suspect it is hereditary. But it can completely, can completely wipe you out. Like I've been doing things and been like, I literally have to hold my breath because it's so painful in that moment. And I'm just like, hold, and it's going to go away eventually, but like, that's the reality for a lot of people.
Gosh. So
you just pill popping.
And so what is the option? Is it a hysterectomy?
Well, that is the option for a lot of people. So I ended up going private because my GP, the first GP that I had, was just like, there's not a lot you can do about this. Unfortunately, that was a male GP who seemed very disinterested in anything that I was talking about at the time. So I actually didn't have private health, and went private for the consultation and met this amazing consultant. I wish I could remember his name. He was so brilliant, and I'd been in his presence for about 3 minutes, and he'd worked it all out. He was obviously so experienced, had seen it all before, heard it all before, and he was like, "This is what's happening. This is what we need to do." And I said to him, I can't afford the surgery. I was like 21, 22. Yeah. I've paid the money to see you, that's it. I just needed an answer. And he put me on his NHS waiting list, which at the time was quite small. And I got my surgery through the NHS.
Amazing.
And so that first time was just like an exploratory operation. So it's keyhole. They do 2 little holes here and here. I'm like a pincushion. It's ridiculous. And then one up the what's his face, and have a little.
You can say the real word here.
Yeah. They have a little look around, and then he told me exactly this is where they show you pictures of it. You're like, oh, it all makes sense now. It was the first time where I could actually see what was happening.
Yeah.
And then I went back in for an operation, which was laser treatment, and they basically cut and burn through the big chunks. And I remember waking up feeling really sore from that operation, but I was like, I don't know. It was like someone had done the jigsaw puzzle in the right order.
That must be, because I guess if things are like attaching, you must feel all like uncomfortable and like twisted and
yeah. And so once all the whatever had worn off, everything just felt like it was in the right place again.
Yeah.
And that was a really nice feeling. But at the same time, they told me it's going to be a real mission for you to get pregnant.
But you did.
Yeah, I did. And lots of people with endometriosis don't. And it can be really, really sad. It can be painful, completely debilitating.
Yeah. Time
off work. People that don't understand, oh, she's got period pains, poor thing. Yeah. I can hear it now.
Yeah.
And then it affects your fertility. So actually, when we were trying to get pregnant with Harry, who's our oldest, it wasn't happening. And the consultant said, well, yeah, I told you. Yeah, you did. And I was actually booked in to go and see a fertility specialist at the John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford. And it was 2 days before the appointment, and I found out I was pregnant with him.
And the reason I'm smiling so much at this story is because I know the outcome. Yeah. I knew what was coming. I was like, I love this story.
I got a baby.
But, I have known quite a lot of people with problems with fertility.
Yeah.
And it's just debilitating
and
sad. And you've already been through so much with your endometriosis, and then to be told that something you want so deeply might not be able to happen because of that. It must be very difficult. Did you ever feel like angry towards your body?
No, not really.
But how wonderful is that? Because I'm sure lots of people would.
Yeah, I think you've got to deal with what you're given, haven't you? And you've only got one. And, I say that from a place of privilege. If this is the worst thing that I've experienced, then I'm doing okay because I've survived it and it's fine. But yeah, I think it can be a real emotional drain for a lot of people. Now, I was 21 when I had that first operation, and I was 26 when I got pregnant with Harry. So that's actually quite a short period of time. If somebody isn't going to have children, because obviously the joy of being pregnant was that the endometriosis subsided during that period of time. Like it wasn't building up. And also when I gave birth to Harry, they gave me a coil straight away and said, we think that that's going to help you manage.
And you worked your body was really happy on the coil, wasn't it?
Yeah, really, really happy.
Because we've talked about that previously, and then they took it out, didn't they?
Yes, I got what I think is not great advice, because the coil was managing it really nicely for me. And I know people have had horror shows with coils, and I understand. It's so frustrating because there's not one thing that's like good for everyone. But that worked really, really well for me. It almost led to not a great situation having Harry, because after 3 days of labour. So I went into labour on the Wednesday morning. And on the Saturday morning, they realised he was breech, which was a bit stressful. So I've been huffing and puffing for 3 whole days.
It's exhausting, isn't it?
Well, I was really tired. And then they were like, oh, sorry, he's breech. So we're going to have to do an emergency C-section. And they obviously did the emergency C-section and had Harry. Yay, everything's good. And there was this period of time where I was like, they seem to be faffing around a little bit down there, like sewing things together. And I remember it so clearly. Phil was there and he had Harry, and the surgeon came over here. It wasn't it was the because it was an emergency C-section. What do they call them? Like the house doctor or something. It was his first ever C-section.
Oh, great.
I found out afterwards. It's fine.
Thanks so much for that.
And he was like, everything's fine, but we're just having a little problem sewing everything back up. It's all under control, but it's just taking us a bit longer, and we've called someone to come and help us. I was like, okay, cool.
No one panic.
They're carrying on. Of course, I'm numb, so I've got no feeling. I've just got baby. It's cool. And it turns out that they've cut through my uterus to get the baby out, and there was a big patch of endometriosis on the outside. And the surgeon who had flown down from Scotland in this time, I know, it all came out afterwards.
What?
I know.
While they were...
Yes. I was there for 4 hours.
Oh.
And she said to me, she was lovely, she said to me, it was like stitching wet tissue paper back together. We couldn't get it. So she came to talk to me, and she was like, we've tried our best, but I'm really sorry. We are going to have to give you a hysterectomy.
Oh my God, I didn't know this story. Okay. I'm totally gripped, as is everyone else. Keep
and
going.
I was like, okay. And actually, I remember being really okay with it.
Because you had Harry.
I had a baby.
Yeah.
Fine. My body's done with that section. On your way, please.
Yeah.
And so I have to sign all the paperwork. I'm still like this with the thing, like,
you know. Where's Phil then?
He's right here.
He's still with you.
He's right here. I haven't held Harry yet because I'm all limp and numb.
And cold.
So I signed.
Really cold.
Yeah, really cold. So I'm signing all these papers because I have to give them permission to do the hysterectomy.
Right.
So then I say bye to Phil, bye to Harry. They take me off for surgery, go to sleep because it was in a different room.
Yeah.
Go to sleep. And then I wake up and I remember coming around and being like, oh, God, this is a bit of a ride, isn't it? God, blimey. And then this woman came over, someone completely different. And she was like, good news. We saved your uterus. I was like, what? Okay. And so they didn't have to do the hysterectomy.
So did they remove the endometriosis then?
Pass. I think they got rid of a lot of stuff when they were down there, but they fixed my uterus. But then they were like, and this wasn't when I'm in recovery, but they were like, you can't have another baby because that's a sensitive situation you got down there.
Okay,
like we've got it back together.
You're held together with old blue tack,
bit of gaffer tape.
Yeah.
I was like, fine, and I was actually fine because like I've got my baby, all is good, and. Yeah, I had another baby. And so, spoiler.
And so, what happened then with the second baby?
So,
obviously, we know that Grace is wonderful and here. And
so it was because of everything that had happened. There's a white paper in the British Medical Journal all about my uterus.
Whoa,
I'm famous. It's unbelievable.
You are.
So I was then under like the gynecologist. So I went back for appointments because obviously it was all a bit trauma.
Yeah, of course.
Traumatic. And so they were like, no, so we think that would be a really bad idea for you to have the baby. And then they were like, oh, you have healed very, very well. And I was like, okay. And then they were like, okay, maybe you could, but you probably wouldn't get pregnant.
Hello.
Prego.
Super sperm. All the eggs.
And I got pregnant, but they would not let me give birth. So
another C.
Planned C-section. All went swimmingly. You can imagine that moment where they're like, we're just going to sew you up and everything's going to be fine. I was like, sure. There was literally, so in a normal C-section, you know, there's loads of people.
Yeah.
I swear to God, there was like 50 people in that room. With that second one, it was very intense. I was fine.
And how wonderful. Isn't the human body a wonderful thing?
I mean, God bless you down there.
I know.
God bless your little uterus. But I mean, it was a wild ride. But during all of that time, the endometriosis wasn't growing. Like, for me, it wasn't like exasperated by the pregnancy. It just settled down.
Yeah.
And I just had a coil every second that I was not pregnant from that moment on. All because of that amazing gynecologist I first met who was like, I got you sorted. This is how we're going to do this.
Don't you think sometimes, so I believe in the universe. I don't really believe in God, but I believe that the universe like provides what you really need at that moment. And I think sometimes the universe is just like, Faye needs this person.
Yeah.
We're going to align that.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what that person needs in that moment.
Yeah. And I've always said yes to all of the things. Like, I would love there to be some herbal tea that I could take that would help with endometriosis.
Yeah.
Maybe there is one. But I've always said yes to the operations, yes to the treatment, yes to the drugs. And that has helped me with this dis-ease that is there.
And so currently, do you think it's impacted your perimenopause, your endometriosis?
I don't know. I had that advice about having the coil removed, and slowly it just
things went.
Yeah. And I was like, oh no, slippery slope, we don't want this. And at that same time I was like, oh, I think I'm perimenopausal. So it all kind of collided. And then the doctor that I saw about the perimenopause is the one who said, I don't think that was very good advice coming off the coil.
And isn't that lovely to hear?
Yeah.
Aren't you like, thank God someone's listening?
Yeah. And it wasn't a great removal of that coil either.
Did we talk about that on the podcast?
I think we might have. I ended up having an injection in my cervix.
Yeah. Oh. There's certain.
I'd rather have one in my eyeball. Oh, that wasn't good. I was sick in the car park afterwards. It was such a weird feeling.
Obviously I've heard that story, and I'm sure that we've got it on the podcast. If we haven't, we'll check back and we will do a loop.
We'll come back
to horror stories of smears and unfortunately one of my friends has got an awful smear story. I'll ask if I can share it.
Let's circle back. That's a good one.
But sometimes, I can't remember what I was going to say. This is total perimenopause, isn't it?
Yeah.
But like the body is amazing. And I think how brave of you to be able to firstly share your story, but also like to come out the other side and be like, done.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. It happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. And I was very, very grateful, even though it was a slow start to finding the right people. I was very grateful to the medical experts who were able to navigate that whole shenanigans. That's what we'll call it.
So we need to summarise, although I've just been like deep in your story.
Well, I think the summary is that endometriosis is an incredibly unpleasant experience for anyone. And if you think that it's what you have, or you're presenting some of the symptoms, go and speak to your GP, and if they don't give you a helpful answer, or they're not willing to help you find the answer, keep going.
And I
speak to somebody else.
In a previous episode we talked about AI. I think there is a symptoms tracker. I'm sure if you googled a symptoms tracker for like perimenopause or like there will be a symptoms tracker, so track as best as you can. And also talk about it. Yeah. Because actually, before this conversation, we've had a couple of snippets of conversation about it. And I've been so quiet this podcast because I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. Talk about it. Like, be open and honest about it.
Look, I think it's something ridiculous. Like 1 in 3 women have endometriosis. Yeah. I think it's really, really high. Yeah. So, And
isn't it mad that you go to your GP and they're like, oh, never really seen anyone with this?
I know.
Like, my daughter had scoliosis and we had exactly the same. We were like, we know she's got scoliosis. We just need you to do a referral. And it's like,
going to say refund.
We We'd like a refund for
We'd
this
like
one.
a refund, please.
And I think it's 1 in 25 people have scoliosis. It's really, really high.
Wow.
And she was like, never seen anyone with scoliosis before. And it's like, well, it's a real
it makes
thing.
me think I would hate to be a GP.
Well, that's why I love 111 because they're really nice and quick.
I think being a GP and knowing every condition about every
Nightmare.
Absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
But I think you can have empathy even if you've not seen something before.
Well, yes. The problem is they're overworked. Anyway, we won't get into GPs because I feel like we'll extend that. But thank you for sharing your story because
welcome.
That isn't where I expected us to go, but absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
And well done, your body.
I know. Whenever I'm like, oh, I've got to, this, I call it the shelf, the C-section shelf.
Yeah.
Because once that's been cut there.
Me too, I've got 2 of them. Yeah.
But every time I have a little whinge about it, I'm like, well done you.
No, and I'm the same because we were only talking about our tummies, weren't we, before we came in. And I was like, do you know what? I've had the same 2 C-sections, 2 beautiful babies, worth every minute.
Yeah.
I'll keep the little paunch, my little muffin.
My little muffin. God bless your muffin.
We would love to know about your experience with this.
Absolutely.
I feel like I need to share my birth story because actually it's quite an elaborate one. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to do another birth story once.
We'll circle back.
I was under general for mine. Yeah. C-section general was bad. We will circle back to that.
Let's do that.
But in the comments, we'd love to know your experience with endometriosis, how you found your GP. Like, share some love in the comments.
Yeah.
Send us a message. We've loved hanging out with you today. We will be back next week. Like, subscribe and comment.
See you next week. Bye.